They went to the queen to tell her her subjects had no bread. Do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
Here, take the bomb.
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of the Peasants Perspective. It's a kind of overcast day here in Seattle. Sounds like Frazier says good morning from really wet Boise. Sorry about that, man. I guess we didn't get all the water, so it came over the Cascades to you.
Oh, man. We got pounded yesterday here. Did you not get it?
Well, I went out to Port Angeles.
Oh.
And I got pounded at the end of the day, but I drove through it. You know, that whole rain shadow thing was kind of nice. But yeah, no, I got home and I was like, man, everything is wet around here. And my wife's like, it's been raining all day. Kids have not gone outside.
People in Idaho are like, what's a rain shadow?
Yeah, you live in a rain shadow. That's what a rain shadow is.
Yeah.
Okay? The mountains dump, and then there's nothing left for a small portion of the North Kitsap Peninsula.
That's why it's dry over there where you're at.
Drier. Yeah, it's all relative.
Yeah.
Oh, Pony Boy, good morning. We peanuts or peasants today? We're peasants today. We're back to peasants. Although some days it does feel like peanuts. I think that's pretty good.
That was a limited hangout. Oh, so fun. Thank you, Sarah, for doing that. That was great. I love fan art. I love fan creative stuff, using show clips and things like that. Big shout out to Ash, who did our shorts last month. We did their little promo thing. We got 31. They wanted 30. We got 31 out. That was awesome. So if you haven't had a chance to go watch the clips, the shorts, go explore them. They're kind of fun. Some of the highlights of the episodes, I guess. Oh, Pony Boy. Yes, we are peasants and peasants. Yes. Okay, guys, I know why you show up so early and you're promptly on time. It's because you want to join us for the simultaneous sip. And all you need is a cup or a mug or a glass, a tankard, a chalice, a stein, a canteen, jug or flask, a vessel of any kind. Fill it with your favorite liquid. I like coffee. And join me now for the unparalleled pleasure of the dopamine hit of the day, the thing that makes everything better, the simultaneous sip. And it starts right now.
Product of the early 1970s. If you look back in Google Scholar and you look at the timelines for when books started to use phrases like follow your dreams, especially in relation to the youth, it was in the early 1970s. And, I think it's become a bit kind of a weird feel-good hippie thing. It's basically telling kids, go deeply into debt to do the thing that will never make you money or matter at all. And this is good advice. But more importantly, do you guys know what the number one dream was for kids in 1971? Can anyone guess? I know what it is. It's astronaut. We had just gone to the moon. And so that's a great dream. I mean, these guys were like fighter pilots, PhD mathematicians, supermen who were also really good looking and well spoken. I mean, they picked them so that they were, the ultimate American hero ideal. For a kid to see that and say, that's what I want to be. Okay, tell the kids to follow their dreams. But do you know what the number one job that kids most want today is? It's a mix of those. Yeah, it's social media influencer. Next is professional gamer. Next is YouTuber. And the problem is when you can't tell kids to follow their dreams when their dreams suck. And so you
can't tell kids to follow their dreams when their dreams suck. Oh, Lucky Palmer for the win there. Oh, that's so funny. So yesterday, you may or may not have noticed, but apparently we launched another mission into space. It was Artemis, I think Artemis 2. So Artemis 1 was we launched, went out, circled the moon, came back. Okay, all the systems work because the whole thing's autopilot, right? Right.
No monkeys even.
Yeah. So this time we sent 4 astronauts into space, allegedly. I see Carlitos is here. Good morning, y'all. He might defer on this one. Here's the good news, Carlitos. We're probably going to know in our lifetime if not there's space and if we're flat or round, because you might get a chance to see it yourself or know somebody who does.
So I heard a lot about this is going to be like the first, I don't know what you want to call it,
biracial, whatever, diversity crew going up. And I thought back to when Katy Perry in France. It's like, wait a minute.
All those guys did was like an ICBM missile launch. Like they didn't
I
even
know,
really get
but
to space.
they claimed they were going to space.
We're astronauts. Exactly. Okay. So this is the path of the Artemis 2. So it's going to circle the planet a couple times, get some
geez.
speed, I guess, go out into a far orbit, and then it's going to launch off, and then it's going to make its way around the moon one time,
Oh, yeah.
come on back, circle around, and fall back into the ocean somewhere off the coast of California.
You always got to do the figure 8 action.
That's the plan there, which is cool. I support this. I think it's
And
awesome.
then right here is where they go, whoops, we missed.
Now, let's put this in perspective because this ties into the bigger themes of the day. What
Okay.
was going on in the 1960s?
Mm.
We had the
Mm.
Vietnam War.
Well,
right?
we had some racial divide that was clearing up. We had some space action. We had some hippies. We had
Some hippies.
we had a president that got shot.
Okay, so history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure rhymes, doesn't it? Right? So Carlene says, LMFAO over here with all those funny fake videos. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Okay, Doug Wyatt, good morning. Glad you made it. Did you notice all the CGI during Artemis? Of course, man. It's NASA. That's what they're best at. What do you think they've been doing for the last 60 years? Nothing but CGI. They pioneered the industry.
Well, it's hard to get video footage of it, so they have to kind of show you what it looked like.
To show you what it should look like. So here's the thing about this space iteration here. It's a new space race. China, launched their rovers. They've been on the backside of the moon allegedly, whatever.
Yeah.
But what happened was coming out of World War II, we discovered this new technology, nuclear power, which allowed us to have the excess energy to fund anything we wanted, right? As a nation state, we, the peasants, we couldn't fund anything we wanted. But the country had excess energy, and excess energy means you can afford to make things.
You can flex.
Yeah, you can flex. And so the idea was post-World War II, we were going to enter into an era of peace because the nuclear weapons, nobody wants to go to war anymore. And so you've got to find somewhere to spend your money, okay? Because you got to keep inflating it because that's what the banking system wants.
Right, and that's why we needed a Cold War, right?
Well, the Cold War wasn't a construct. That was real. You really did have communists versus capitalists going on there.
I know, but we took advantage of it.
We took advantage of it. But what we did was we decided to redirect our energy into the space race because whoever would win the space race, they would win the hearts and minds of the citizens of the planet.
And I think that the space race was part of the Cold War. But go ahead.
Absolutely. Just like this one, Ron.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. When you can't lose your money because you've got to lose fiat currency. This is one of the things we talk about over at 1776 Live is understanding the economic systems. Fiat currency requires you to lose money. You've got to spend excess money because you're printing extra money to pay for your pet projects, but you've got to infuse it into the economy. And where do you infuse it? Factories. You know what are really great factories with really great jobs? Aerospace factories. You see what I'm saying? Rocket factories. And this is how you bolster up your education programs and get better physics and better engineering and all that stuff is you invest in either war or space travel. They kind of can go hand in hand. The
Like
one
Lucky
is
Palmer.
peacetime spending, one is wartime spending. So with the obliteration of Iran, we and our absolute military flex in our military might and dominance the last couple months, we're entering into a Cold War now with China. We've been in one for a long time, right? But just like we were with the Soviet Union, we were in it. And then all of a sudden it was like, hey, we have to win. And how do you have to win? We're going to have to outspend these guys and not just outspend them. We're going to have to do something significant. We're going to have to get a huge technological edge. So just like Kennedy saw the same landscape and he said, let's make a goal to go to the moon. If I remember my statistics right, 1 in 5 jobs in America were centered around the space program. Wow. You were working for a factory, making a widget. You were working in a school that was getting grants that was funneled for the space program to teach physics, right? 1 in 5 Americans was directly employed and directly compensated because we had the objective of going to space.
Well, remember at the time it was called the space race.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
And this is no different. So right now we're coming to an era where China's not going to flex up on us militarily. This was the same thing Russia. They didn't flex us up on us militarily, but they started the space race because that was how they're a communist society on a fiat currency. So what are they going to do? Get people working. And what better way to get people working than dump thousands of people in factories making all the things and all the tech and all the science that goes into the space race. So America got in on that game, and we ended up allegedly going to the moon. Well, after we went to the moon a couple times, then all of a sudden we lost interest in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we can go on and on about the conspiracies of did we go, did we not go. Maybe Hollywood benefited more from the space race than the actual rockets and stuff like that. But nonetheless, we're at a point now where it doesn't really make sense to build Tomahawk missiles, which is one of the results of the space race. They're too expensive for war, especially when they can be defeated by a drone, which is way cheaper. So now the cost of war has come way down, especially with 3D printing. You know, you can make these drones and strap a grenade on it and do whatever you need to do. Okay. So now the next objective is again space. So how convenient. Here we are. History sure doesn't repeat itself, but oh my goodness, does it rhyme? And Donald Trump has been compared endlessly to JFK Jr. And this is where we're at. We're launching our space race. Our Artemis 2 program, our Artemis program, is mirroring the Apollo program almost to a T. So kind of cool. I think it's neat. Now, there are some pretty grandiose objectives with this one. This is the current director of NASA talking about our 5-year objectives with this space program.
Oh,
is that me?
That was me.
Okay, it's you. Whew, thought it was me.
Because the moon base, you said, is going to begin construction when exactly?
Oh, we're going to start launching in early 2027. Like we are going to literally start putting landers. These are uncrewed robotic landers and rovers on the surface of the moon on a near monthly cadence starting in 2027.
Now, Carlitz is going to interject that the surface of the moon is just the middle of Nevada. And maybe it is. I don't know. Okay. But let's keep listening.
What is going to be built? What's it going to look like?
People ask that too. And I was like, I bet when you think of moon base, you think of this beautiful glass dome. I was like, think of it closer to a junkyard. Like we are going to have so many like broken down rovers and landers everywhere, but that's actually how you do it. You know, we started with Alan Shepard on a 10-minute mission to space, right? And from there, 8 years later, we walked on the moon. You don't just jump to the end state, right? So what are we doing? We are going to experiment. Phase 1 is all about lots of landers, lots of rovers, packed with science instruments, packed with tech demonstrations. We are going to figure out what should the surface comms be like? What should the orbital comms be like? What is the best power source? We're going to have solar power. We're going to have nuclear powered RTGs. We're eventually going to have a nuclear power plant on the moon, but you do it in a logical evolutionary way. So what are we going to do? We're going to have lots of landings, lots of rovers. We're going to learn. That'll inform phase 2 till we get to phase 3, where you're going to have that real enduring presence on the moon.
You know, I listened to some physicist that was talking about, you know, they want to put these data centers in space, and everybody believes space is cold, right? And that'll be great for the data centers because they produce all this heat. But this guy was explaining, he's like, no, it's not cold.
It's cold on the backside of the moon.
Well, no, it's not even that.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's one thing to put it on the moon. There is something there to reflect heat and move. There's no atmosphere, but there's a breeze, apparently. I don't know. Okay. But what he says space is a vacuum. So in a vacuum, there's really nothing there. A vacuum is a perfect insulator. And so he's like, when people that are very intelligent talk about putting data centers in space or these things that produce heat, he's like, how are you going to discharge the heat? He's like, you literally are putting it up in the best possible insulation. You're never going to be able to displace that heat. So then someone else was saying, well, that heat is what you would use to generate electricity for other things. It's like, maybe. So I guess we still have some engineering left to do. Carlene says, I can play along if it makes America great again. There you go. That's it.
That's what we want. Team players. Team players.
That's what we want, Carlitos. Yes, play along if it makes America great again. Exactly. If it defeats the communist Reds, so be it. Okay. That is kind of fun. So I'm excited. I support the space race stuff way more than I support bullets and bombs in Yemen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, if it makes America great again, awesome. If we get faster domestic transport or airplane, transport, and we can launch rockets and get to Ethiopia in 7 minutes, I love it. Benefits for sure. Yeah, space race team player. Team player one. Oh, that's great. We need t-shirts that say that. The Business Perspective Conspiracy Show, space race team player one. I love it. Team player. Whatever they're selling, I'm buying. Okay, so one of the other things that's going on here is obviously this Iran war sure seems to be wrapping up. Donald Trump gave a great speech last night. It was really good. Just kind of emphasizing how we got here with Iran and what we're doing. And we're going to play a couple clips from that. But I just want to remind people, hypocrisy abounds. Now, I insulate myself from being a hypocrite by saying I'm often wrong, but never in doubt. And as soon as I find out I'm wrong, I will change my opinion. Okay. We are all the product of the information we have. We are only good as the information we have. So we look at things broadly. We dive into the conspiracies. We pull back. We see it on its face. Because oftentimes the conspiracies, well, what you see is what you get, right? So when you go into the conspiracies, a lot of times you see the things that everyone else chooses not to see.
Right. So did you watch the liftoff? You did? Oh, so I did not.
Basket coming down
so I skipped it because I was listening to something and then they're like, well, the launch is ready and the people have been sitting in the ship for 3 hours and, they're flicking switches and then they had a little bubble, like they had a little hiccup. And the hiccup was, they're trying to use communications that they just, put together back when they first started NASA. And it's like, what? It's like, man, why don't you guys get some like...
Did you get the coaxial cable plugged in?
Yeah, like something. And then I was like, I'm not watching anymore.
So the conspiracy, it almost makes you wonder if NASA is just a big joke. It is. I know, Carlise, it is. But as the missile launches... The escape basket is leaving the launcher thing. It's like on a trolley. And the space basket, I should have pulled the clip, man. The space basket had like a bikini blanket on it. Like it looked like a bikini. Now you couldn't see if there were people in the basket, but some people are like, yeah, they just launched a missile, guys. And then
fully loaded.
In 10 days, they'll take a Boeing Starliner up and drop a pod into the California Ocean and be like, we're back. It was awesome. So we'll see. Anyways, yeah. So again, if I'll be a team player if it makes America great again, whatever.
So we'll be checking tan lines.
You'll be checking tan lines. Yeah. Okay. So back to the Iran conflict. So everybody's a hypocrite. Okay. And the best thing you can do is to avoid being called a hypocrite is be willing to change. Okay. And you need to be willing to change. And on top of that, you need to admit when you were wrong. If you're wrong about something, it's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. We only have so much information. But once new information presents itself, you can reflect upon it and you can develop your own opinion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As long as your opinion is able to adapt and flex for certain things, then you're okay. But there's some people who kind of have this weird deal where they're like,
well, it's also good if your idea can take on a 5-minute stress or a 5-second stress test.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a couple things with the Iran thing that the hypocrisy on the left and right of the political spectrum is pretty stunning. So this right here up on the screen is the guy on the left was arrested and convicted for illegally selling missiles to Iran during the Reagan administration. So you might remember the Iran-Contra.
I know this dude.
Right. So we were selling missiles to Iran, and then we ended up getting the money down to Nicaragua to fight the Contras down there. And so it was the Iran missiles, the money from that being taken directly to fund ABC, anything but communist program that Reagan had going on down in Nicaragua. And it's really the biggest smirch on his presidency. And a lot of people say, well, he didn't know that much because he was starting to get mentally Alzheimer-y after he got shot and he kind of turned over his administration to George H.W. Bush. It doesn't matter. But this is Oliver Stone. So you got the guy on the left who was arrested for selling missiles. Oliver North, excuse me. Oliver North. You got the guy on the left who was convicted of selling missiles to Iran.
They're both the same guy.
The same guy on the right. The guy on the right is the Fox News military analyst who thinks Iran shouldn't have missiles. Same guy. Same guy. Oliver, I would love it if you did a piece and said, I should have never sold missiles to Iran. Reagan was wrong for telling me to do it.
That'd be a bestseller book.
It would be a bestseller book. Now, if you think the hypocrisy is just on the right, it's not. Here's Rachel Maddow, right? 2025, Trump is going to ignore Iran until they have a nuclear warhead pointed at us, and then it's too late. Trump 2026, Trump has no right to strike Iran.
It's not too late yet. Come on.
It's not too late. Oh no, I just lost the real clip I wanted. All right, run, come off the screen here so I can pull that clip because I need to find it. Okay. So one of the other things that I saw that I thought was really great was Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, one of the largest financial institutions in the world and also extremely corrupt. But nonetheless, these guys are market leaders, right? These guys know what's going on in the market. They've got your credit card statements. They know what you're spending things on. And he was being grilled on the Axios show about Iran and, you know, why it's bad and stuff like that. And he kind of flipped the script on him here. Listen to this.
China's been a big beneficiary of our war in Iran. It is a war of choice. Are we handing sort of this golden opportunity to China and to Russia?
Yeah, I would step back on that one a little bit. You say it's a war of choice. You know, I've heard a lot of people say there was no imminent threat.
Yep.
And a threat means that it hasn't happened yet. The bad thing hasn't happened. They've been killing people around the 45 plus years. They've killed a lot of Americans. They funded not just Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. They have terror cells here. They were about to get their ballistic missiles, which I think you just found out can go almost 3,000 miles now. They never gave up nuclear. They were bad. So I don't look at this like, you know, does it create all this uncertainty? Absolutely. Does it create, you know, more short-term risk for the oil prices? Absolutely. I'm praying it ends well. I don't know everything the American government knows. I don't know, you know, if you know the military has been planning things like this extensively in a lot of detail. So they know more than we do. They have more plans than we do. And I literally hope it turns out well and that somehow we get peace in the Middle East permanently.
Now,
China's been
it's my opinion. Jamie Dimon is very self-interested, and he's right. Iran, bad guys. Okay, they do bad things. They treat their people bad. They're bullies in the Middle East. You'd be hard pressed to make a case opposite of that, right? Now, I saw some influencer who went to Iran and was walking around one of their malls, and look how great it is here. It's like, yeah, of course, because the peasants make it great,
Sure,
right? But if they speak out, off with your head. Remember, the Iranian regime, and I know this from firsthand from the guys that were in prison with me from
that
Iran.
same person that was walking around the mall should go talk to some of the police or some of the people that are, you know, quote unquote, in charge and find out what happens.
Yeah, exactly. So I know this from firsthand experience from the guys that I was in prison with from Iran. They said the IRGC and the prison Quid Guard or whatever they're called, if you speak out against the regime and they decide you're gone, you'll get assassinated. Okay. You get a bullet to the head. And what they'll do is they'll then take that bullet that went through your relative's brain, and they will take it to you and they will invoice the family for the bullet. That's just to rub it in. That's how just degrading this regime is to its people.
It's to make sure that the people receiving the bullet know that it's coming for you next.
Exactly. So with that, pray the rosary daily. Happy Holy Thursday. Welcome. So glad you made it.
Thank you.
On this high holiday. Okay. I'm not Catholic, so we don't do the whole.
I don't even know what holiday it is. It's the day after April
up.
Fools.
So this is like Holy Week and
sure,
the Passion of Christ and the whole thing.
Okay.
As Mormons, we kind of just do the Easter thing, right? So
right. We kind of roll over it a little bit.
We don't do the Good Friday. Tomorrow on TV, you're going to see all the Catholics with the black soot on their face or the cross or whatever it is. So pray the rosary daily. You're going to have to send me a picture of you because I'm sure you're going to do that, which is awesome, by the way. I think if you choose to live a faith, you should live it faithfully.
Isn't that Wednesday? I thought that was like Ash Wednesday.
Is it? I should stop talking. I don't know. Okay, so one of the challenges with this entire Iran conflict is NATO wasn't there for us. And it's not that they were obliged to participate offensively, because NATO is a defensive alliance. But there are some things that you would think, given our alliance with, say, Britain and the other NATO countries, that they would let us, use their bases to stage things or launch our bombers off Diego Garcia. We park them there. We pay them a lease. We provide economic benefit to England by being hosted at Diego Garcia. But the moment we need to use it for what we're paying for, no, sorry, you can't use it. Why is that? Why did NATO get totally soft? On News Nation, they had a really great breakdown of this, why it is all these nations got so soft.
I think there's something bigger happening, which is a realignment of the world, that the Brits have become as have the French, as have the Spaniards, as have the Italians, all countries that have said they won't help, have become much more aligned, or I would say even hostage to their own domestic political interests, which focus on their Muslim populations. And you're seeing the Arab world now ally itself with Israel and the United States. Countries only have permanent interests, not permanent allies. Have the world's interests realigned? I think there's something bigger happening.
And that's what's going on. France, huge Muslim population. Britain, huge Muslim population. All the Western European nations have had this immigration crisis, and it's all been predominantly Muslims. And it happens to be Muslims that are more aligned with Iran's worldview than Saudi Arabia's worldview. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so the Arab world has been like allying with Israel, of all places, in the United States. But the Persian world and the ones under that influence through the Iranians, which is a lot of these migrants, right? Because that's where the terrorism's being fomented from. They align with the Iranian agenda. And so France can't really hop in because the Palace of Versailles is not secure. The Eiffel Tower is not secure, right? They could have domestic terrorism pop off. We could here too, to a lesser degree, right? Same thing with Britain. And so it created this situation where it's like, well, we'd love to help. We'd love to fulfill our obligations, our military alliances, but then I wouldn't win my next election. Then I would have to deploy police into the streets and it would be violent and brutal. You see what I'm saying? And so they were held back by that, which is one of the reasons why, as far as long-term defense planning, the America said, listen, we're going to have to do the Don Road Doctrine, focus on the Western Hemisphere. Europe is dying. It's dead. They don't rapidly self-correct. In 20 years, France is going to be an Islamic nation because they're so dominant in the way they participate in politics. Yeah. John Atakis says Greek Easter was always the best memories. My family historically was Greek Orthodox. And so we did. That was a holiday we would celebrate. That was our annual family reunion. Still is to this day. The John Atakises will go down to the desert of Utah and roast a lamb and do the whole thing. Greek Easter. Sweet. It's not very much a Greek Orthodox holiday. It's more of a family reunion, but we do remember Greek Easter. So I'm a little more familiar with that than the Catholic version of it. Greek Easter goes off the lunar calendar, and sometimes it's March, sometimes it's after Easter, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so here's Donald Trump telling the rest of the world that's been super dependent on oil coming out of the Strait of Hormuz what their options are.
So to those countries that can't get fuel, many of which refuse to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, we had to do it ourselves. I have a suggestion. Number one, buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty. We have so much. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Should have done it before. Should have done it with us, as we asked. Go to the strait and just take it, protect it, use it for yourselves. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done, so it should be easy. And in any event, when this conflict is over, the strait will open up naturally. It'll just open up naturally. They're going to want to be able to sell oil because that's all they have to try and rebuild. It will. So to those.
Now, can anybody come take it? Can we go get one?
Let's go. We'll do a little. What's that? What's the movie? Mad Dogs or War Dogs? War Dogs.
Yeah.
Do you know? Have you seen that movie?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yes, Ron. Let's do it. Let's take a little cigarette speedboat. Let's go. Let's secure the Cag Island and be like, we're here. We'll plant our peasants flag and be like, this is peasants oil now.
We'll start collecting tolls.
Yeah, start collecting tolls. Paid in Bitcoin, of course.
Yeah.
You can convert any currency into Bitcoin, but we'll take payment in Bitcoin. It's a universal settlement system. Okay, so that's. Notice how he didn't say France or England or India. He just said the nations.
Right.
Who is the key buyer of Iranian oil?
Well, China.
China.
Yeah.
So he's saying, China, if you want it, come get it, but we're not going to stick around here. It's not in our interests, right? So you've got all these deals with the Arab world. Go make good on them. Go be your own police force in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, is this a good move or a bad move? In my opinion, it's a good move on the United States. Do you know why? Because now China is going to be bogged down in the desert, in the sand, with tribes that have been fighting each other for 1,000 years, right? Just like we were. So it's like, we'll go race to space, establish dominancy there, huge technological advantage. Meanwhile, you will spend your blood, sweat, treasure, and tears trying to secure your oil supply in the Middle East from people who are hostile to everybody, right? Go talk to a soldier who spent time in the backcountry of Afghanistan. These are people who, if you show them a picture of them, right, they'll kill you because that must be witchcraft of something. So absolutely, go deal with it. So that'll be kind of interesting. The other thing Donald Trump mentioned in his speech last night is as soon as this conflict is over, we expect oil prices to plummet.
That's all they have to try and rebuild. It will resume the flowing and the gas prices will rapidly come back down. Stock prices will rapidly go back up. They haven't come down very much, frankly. They came down a little bit, but they've had some very good days over the last couple of days. We've done actually much better than I thought, but we had to take that little journey to Iran to get rid of this horrible threat. With our historic tax cuts, where people are just now talking about receiving larger refunds than they ever thought possible. They are getting so much more money than they thought. That's from the great big beautiful bill. Our economy is strong and improving by the day, and it will soon be roaring back like never before. It will top the levels that it was a month ago. I've made clear from the beginning of Operation Epic Fury that we will continue until our objectives are fully achieved. Thanks to the progress we've made, I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives.
All of America's military objectives. And as a result of that, when we pull out, we expect oil prices to plummet. Yeah. And we should return to the roaring economy. How roaring of an economy have we had? Well, the Q4 report for GDP growth came out. Now, keep in mind, this report is done by people who hate Donald Trump.
And also keep in mind, though, that this is on the heels of getting rid of a bunch of USAID spending that was nonsense.
Yeah, obviously, you've got reduction in federal spending.
Yeah.
The spending deficit has been reduced quite a bit.
Yes.
And you've got tariff revenue coming in. That's a big part of why the deficit spending has been reduced. And you have, for the first time in 5 or 6 years, you've got more net jobs going to American citizens than illegals or foreign-born people. Okay.
We might find out that we are actually pretty rich country real quick
so
here.
under Biden, they manipulated all these GDP numbers and employment numbers, and it's not impossible they're still manipulated. But keep in mind, it was being manipulated by people who loved Biden and hated Trump. And so when these numbers come out, you have to kind of assume the same people, for the most part, are doing it. And listen to this.
My God, we just got a report from the Fed Atlanta bank that says we grew at 5.3% in the fourth quarter. This is an absolutely booming economy right now. My God.
It's a booming economy.
Yeah.
And despite what the news tells you, it's still booming. There's been almost no impact other than oil prices, which has a trickle down effect on us. But if the oil prices come back down, right, which they likely will significantly, oh my goodness, we are rocking and rolling here.
This is a great signal, and it's also a great signal to me, because what I hope happens is that we have a similar outcome with revised voting systems.
Yeah.
It'll be another wave of
woo. When Donald Trump talks about the golden age is upon us, this is what he's talking about. He's talking about the space race. He's talking about advances in technology. If you remember when he was still campaigning, when he announced his presidency, he put out, I think it was like 12 videos of his agenda. One of them was to create 10 new megacities that could use smart technology. For example, vertical takeoff cars.
Oh,
right. Like, we have the tech, but we don't have the infrastructure. So we've got to build a city with the infrastructure. That's awesome. I'm down. Go take some of that useless federal land and build some megacities. It's great. He hasn't mentioned that during his presidency, but you know it's on the agenda. But you've got to clean up the Iranian, the Venezuelan, these threats to it. You got to clean it up. And just like post-World War II, we entered into a peace era where it was like, hey, we're so far, the discombobulators got everybody sitting back discombobulated. And so we're going to have a time frame where we're going to be untouchable for a while. And if you can simultaneously build the Golden Dome across Greenland and northern Canada, protect us from any future events, put our enemies on the back foot where they can't really do much, and they're going to be limited to tear cells, and FISA will take care of that. So, okay, so Donald Trump continued on there as far as the military success.
As we speak this evening, it's been just 1 month since the United States military began Operation Epic Fury, targeting the world's #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran. In these past 4 weeks, our armed forces have delivered swift, decisive, overwhelming victories on the battlefield. Victories like few people have ever seen before. Tonight, Iran's Navy is gone. Their Air Force is in ruins. Their leaders, most of them terrorist regime they led, are now dead. Their command and control of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is being decimated as we speak. Their ability to launch missiles and drones is dramatically curtailed, and their weapons factories and rocket launchers are being blown to pieces. Very few of them left. Never in the history of warfare has an enemy suffered such clear and devastating large-scale losses in a matter of weeks. Our enemies are losing, and America, as it has been for 5 years under my presidency, is winning, and now winning bigger than ever before.
Yes, winning bigger than ever before. Carlite says, I'm so proud of our military. We're back, baby. Yes.
You just like winning.
So the great thing here is a couple things. There's some byproducts of this. By going after the drone factory specifically, which apparently the number I heard was about 67%, and they still want to get the rest of them. Iran has been the primary supplier of drones to Russia fighting in the Ukraine war. So this also puts Russia in a position where they have to retool and either make them themselves or settle the war. Right. And I don't think the settling the war is the problem is on the Russian side. I do think it's on the Ukrainian side because they've been strung along by Europe using them as an offload for their fiat currency system.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this ties back to money. Right. And then when the money interacts with territory and things like that, that's where it's like, oh, that's our spot. Let's go have war because we can expend all this fiat currency and create employment. And that's what's been going on there, right? This war bolstered Iran because they had a place to offload the drones. Ukraine has been leading in drone technology and manufacturing as well. So Europe's pumping money into that to develop the tech and things like that. It's not good.
No.
Okay.
And think about all the money that gets spent on military stuff and spending in ammunition and missiles and whatever. If those things just keep piling up and they never actually use them, then the value of that dollar is sitting there stagnant, and you have stagnation of your economic flow, your cash flow. And if you don't blow up those bombs, and it's like a heat sink, just like we were talking about, you got to have somewhere for that energy to dissipate. And if you're not bleeding out that energy, that money, those bombs, if you're not using them, then that money sits there and stagnates and your economy stagnates. But if you blow them up, then you got good flow. You got good economic flow. And so that's what they want to keep going. They want to keep the economic flow going.
And when you think about the economics through the Cold War, right? All these European nations are buying what? Tomahawk missiles, air defense system, rocket launchers, M1 Abram tanks.
Well, it's a great heat sink for a big pile of cash to blow it up all at once.
Eventually, Poland's like, hey, you know what? We bought like 3,000 of these tanks back in 1989, and they're still in service. We don't need any more. And so it's like, oh, let's sell some to Taiwan. Well, eventually, under Trump won, the A1 Abrams tank factory in Indiana or Ohio, wherever it's at, was shutting down because there's no more customers. Everybody's fully stocked with tanks. Well, how do you create another pipeline of needing more tanks? Go burn some up on a battlefield somewhere. and at the beginning of the Ukrainian war, what happened? The black Secretary of Defense that would wear the face mask. I can't remember his name. The guy that got a surgery and forgot to tell anybody while he was away from work. So his name will probably come to me. Anyways, they sat around a table and they were like, okay, you have so many missiles, you have so many things, send them to Ukraine. They were sending inventory to Ukraine. And then those countries were making orders to then get factories going again. Remember, Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania, when Zelensky came to town, went to a bomb factory in Pennsylvania and they were signing the bombs. Right? Why is that? Well, they're not just resupplying Ukraine. Every missile that backloaded Britain could send the old missile to Ukraine and go ahead and spin that off. So yes, absolutely, Ron.
Yeah. And we also get to freshen up our supplies and have fresh ammo.
Exactly. Unlike in War Dogs when they were selling off the ammunition from like 80 years ago.
Yeah.
Just repackage it. It's so funny. That whole thing fell apart because they forgot to pay the packager. He called the Pentagon from, Uzbekistan or wherever it was. He's like, hey, I need my $110,000 for repackaging that Chinese ammunition that such and such contractor sold. It was like, wait, what? Okay, so Donald Trump, he also made kind of a threat here and a promise. Iran is in talks for some sort of ceasefire. Essentially, they're out of ability to fight. And so they're like, listen, if you stop fighting, we'll stop fighting, natural resolution to the war. But Trump is basically like, listen, as long as you're still fighting and we've got some military objectives you have to meet, we're going to keep going.
Thanks to the progress we've made, I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong. In the meantime, discussions are ongoing. Regime change was not our goal. We never said regime change, but regime change has occurred because of all of their original leaders' death. They're all dead. The new group is less radical and much more reasonable. Yet if during this period of time no deal is made, we have our eyes on key targets. If there is no deal, we are going to hit each and every one of their electric generating plants very hard and probably simultaneously. We have not hit their oil, even though that's the easiest target of all, because it would not give them even a small chance of survival or rebuilding. But we could hit it, and it would be gone, and there's not a thing they could do about it. Thanks to
making it pretty clear, we will bomb your whole country back into the Stone Age.
Yeah, this is the part of the whole game that I'm not really cool with. I'm not cool with. That's not the right way to say it. Not really excited about, because this is really going to impact people, not just governments and administration. This is going to impact people, and including kids.
I have kind of a mixed thought on this.
I do too. So I haven't finished my other thought.
Go ahead.
My other thought was, what if Donald Trump knows that we're on the verge of some kind of new energy source and they don't need those plants anyways, and we're going to use this as a flex to get more control in the meantime. And then when we rebuild and have new energy sources, it won't matter anyways.
Ron, did you not pay attention to the show like 2 months ago when Devin Nunes, CEO of Truth Social, says they just bought a cold fusion company that can produce small cold fusion plants? Yes, Ron, that's exactly right.
Wow.
So if you bomb their energy production facilities, you now have the cheap solution. Great. Yeah, we'll come and run a plant for you. And look, it's in a box. It's
Guess what?
Guess
what? We have these bright new shiny ones that are like sweet.
Yes. The chess game, the pieces are on the board. And again, this is why you've got to tune in daily and listen like 4 times during the day to absorb this information. Yes, Ron. We could bomb their nuclear plants, leave them in the dark for a month, and when they fully capitulated, we could literally deliver cold fusion energy generators, thus creating a demand around the world for this new, way more efficient, less dangerous power supply that's every bit as effective as a large nuclear power plant.
It might actually turn Iran into the most high-tech city in the world.
Yes, and China's behind on this. They still have to buy oil. So go ahead, sell China your oil, use the money to buy our power plants, and you're going to love us more. Okay.
Yeah. So this is going to be like a win-win-win.
It's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win. Okay. All the way around, as Trump always says, we hold all the cards. We just have to play them. And so Donald Trump, yes, he strategically has set this up, and they're deeply involved in the cryptocurrency game. Okay, the family is. Now, is this going to benefit the Trump family? Absolutely. As an employee of mine once said, when we were in excavation and we were building these multi-million-dollar houses while most of my employees would go home to their single wides, right? I had one employee who really got it. He goes, you know what? Thank God for rich people.
Yep, exactly.
That's how I bred my butter. So I'm just a dirt man, but thank goodness they're building these big houses and I can charge them $100,000 for excavation.
Yeah, because then there is economic flow and all you got to do is get in the flow.
Get in the flow. Exactly. So, and in the book Atlas Shrugged, it's the same thing. Like Hank Rearden, who's got the steel mills and things like that. He employs so many people. When he goes through his little trial in the book, he goes through his little trial in the book. Some guy comes up to him afterwards, is like, thank you, keep fighting the fight, because if they take you guys down, we all go down with you. And that's exactly the case, right? Like, you've got to have people that are on the front end of this stuff, that money doesn't matter anymore. It's about some larger objective. And that's what the Trump family is. They're way past figuring out how to pay their credit card statement this month. You know what I mean? And so they're acquiring cold fusion technology and investing deeply in crypto markets and things like that. It's powerful stuff. So here's Donald Trump kind of wrapping up his speech.
And the country has been eviscerated and essentially is really no longer a threat. They were the bully of the Middle East, but they're the bully no longer. This is a true investment in your children and your grandchildren's future.
It is. It's a true investment in your children and grandchildren's future. For what you say or don't say about the nuclear bomb, it led to cheap energy, which led to a huge industrial boom in the United States in the 1950s and 1960s. And we still are benefiting from it, right? So getting rid of this bully in the Middle East opens up so many opportunities, because who wants to invest big time when it could all get blown up? Trump said one time, long time ago, we have to prevent bad actors from getting nuclear weapons, because you could build this beautiful building, this great city, and one single madman with a button can make the thing go away.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only have the right people with that technology. Now, coming back to the economy, we get rid of the big bully in the East, Iran, and all of their terror proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, as well as the terror cells they fund all around the world. They export that radical ideology. Okay. It's gone. It's gone. It's basically going to live on the internet now. That's it. They really aren't going to have the funding, the money. Their economy has been absolutely destroyed. Their ability to defend themselves has been absolutely decimated. And their ability to wage any kind of offensive action is also decimated. So it's good. And the United States is still roaring strong. And even through this conflict, which has been 30 days, the entire month of February, guess what?
These are February numbers for retail sales. Expecting a headline number up 0.5%. Joe comes in better than expected, up 0.6%. That will be the strongest since June of last year, when it was up 1%. If you look at July of last year, it was exactly the same, up 0.6.
So our economy, even through the winter, on a short month, 28 days, still saw summer numbers when we weren't in conflict around the world, before we'd taken out Maduro, before we'd done any of that. And now we've got oil flowing. We've got, things have advanced more. It is just, things could be shaping up really well. Despite all the panicins, all the doomsdayers about Iran, right? It seems to be resolving pretty well. Even guys like Jamie Dimon are on board. Listen, Iran was a threat. They were bad. They had to go. Okay. And Jamie Dimon, again, tying into the larger themes, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, he'd have been down on it because Iran has been the off-books balance sheet for the world banking system. But now we're moving into an era of tokenization and cryptography and blockchain and things like that. And so he's like, yeah, we got to get rid of the off-books balance sheet so that we can fully implement this new system. And of course, they're going to sit on top of it. But nonetheless, it's a good thing. Probably. Okay, shifting gears, we had another huge blockbuster headline yesterday that is deeply personal to me, dealing with January 6th. So this is Clay Higgins, and this was a while back. I think this was during the Biden regime. But Clay Higgins, along with Thomas Massey and a few others, were kind of at the front line of figuring out what was really happening during January 6th. And Clay Higgins is absolutely adamant the FBI had huge involvement.
The FBI was not only involved in the actions on January 6th from within. They had, I suspect, over 200 agents embedded within the crowd, including agents, or as they would call human assets, inside the Capitol, dressed as Trump supporters, before the doors were opened. The FBI.
So the FBI was involved. We've known that for a while. Those of us that are defendants, we've always called it a Fedsurrection. Mm-hmm. Well, Brian Cole Jr., the autistic young black man who's being held in custody, that has been fingered for the pipe bomber, his defense put out this motion yesterday. So let's look at this. This is government's motion for order to show cause why defense counsel should, I got the wrong one. Okay, here it is. All right. So this was in a motion that the defense of Brian Cole put out. Okay. The pipe bomb investigation. So when they identified Brian Cole as the pipe bomber. So remember what happened. There was Thomas Massey and the whistleblowers came out with, and Steve Baker through his reporting and gate analysis named Carrie Kirchhoff as the pipe bomber on January 5th. She was a Capitol Hill police officer, currently working at the CIA on some protective detail.
And I believe at the time, you and I both had a reaction of, whoa, we might actually get some action here.
Yes. And then that ramped up this huge, FBI all of a sudden got active and they were investigating Brian Cole Jr. and Carrie Kirchhoff simultaneously at the same time.
And then like within 24 to 48 hours.
It was like 5 days. Then we got Brian Cole and they had the press conference. And one of the things Kash Patel said at that was, we told the investigators, don't take no for an answer. So give us a guy. When you hear him say that, you're like, they did it. Okay. So look at this. So Brian Cole's in custody. His defense has gotten discovery. And part of that discovery is they find out all the side cases, and because there's crossover with the agents and whatnot. And what it says here is that during the pipe bomb investigation, Miss Kirchhoff was a U.S. Capitol police officer on January 6, 2021, and was present at the Capitol on that date. Ms. Kirchhoff now works for the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. According to discovery produced by the government in the case, the FBI began investigating, questioning, and covertly surveilling Ms. Kirchhoff during the time it began investigating Mr. Cole. So they were surveilling her. They were looking at her. On November 6, 2025, Ms. Kirchhoff was interviewed by the FBI and took polygraph examination. Okay. So they brought her in and they lie tested her. On November 6, 2025, Ms. Kirchhoff was interviewed by the FBI and took a polygraph examination. She was asked 2 relevant questions. 1, did you place those pipe bombs? And 2, did you place those pipe bombs that evening? Ms. Kirchhoff failed the polygraph.
Well.
The FBI polygraph examiner noted Kirchhoff's, quote, very controlled reaction to the news of her failing the polygraph seemingly rehearsed responses to the examiner's question. It goes on to say that she was questioned by Jocelyn Ballantyne, who was the attorney who prosecuted General Flynn. She was the attorney who prosecuted the Proud Boys and tried to get Enrique Ontario to flip. She's a corrupt prosecutor, period. Okay. She's the one who administered this test, and she's the one that is now prosecuting Brian Cole Jr., the worst of the worst J6 prosecutors, who has a storied history of being part of the weaponized government regime, is the one now prosecuting Brian Cole Jr., the long-armed, big-footed, weird-walking pipe bomber that doesn't match the pipe bomber that evening. Okay. So she failed a polygraph test, but nonetheless, they went ahead and proceeded with the arrest of Brian Cole Jr. I saw some analysis yesterday, and here's what's going on. Patrick Byrne revealed that when they went down to Fulton County to get the ballots, right, they had a bad warrant. Do you remember this? They showed up with the warrant was wrong, and they went back and they corrected the warrant. The warrant was filled out by a 35-year veteran FBI agent. And the way warrants work is when they really come under scrutiny, if things are misspelled, an address is wrong, stuff's wrong, it can kind of invalidate the whole warrant and the whole search. So it's really important that the warrant be done correctly.
It doesn't have poison pill.
It doesn't have a poison pill. It was poison pilled. They caught it before they issued it, went back and got a correct one, which is why Fulton County, in their attempt to invalidate the warrant, has now failed because the warrant was corrected. Had they executed the faulty warrant, we would likely be sitting here with some judge going, throw the whole thing out.
Technicality,
flag on the field,
of course.
Go back to start. And so that is what they're up against. Inside the DOJ, there are these deeply embedded actors that for whatever reason will do something like that. Allegedly, that 35-year veteran of the FBI has been fired. Okay. Jocelyn Ballantyne fits that same profile. This J6 prosecution of Brian Cole Jr. seems to be a poison pill. Has made Pam Bondi look really bad. It's made Kash Patel look really bad. It's made Dan Bongino look really bad. It was his birthday present to me. They sold up the river of Patsy just for me. And then it makes Janine Pirro look really bad, who herself, as a prosecutor, was known to, in at least one instance, to have arrested and prosecuted a completely innocent man, and she knew it.
Oop.
So she has that MO. That's part of her history. So here you have her failing a polygraph test. Now, she's employed at the CIA. And a lot of people are like, well, polygraph tests aren't admissible in court. Well enough. The reason they're not admissible in court is because you have to go get the witnesses and all that kind of stuff. But the FBI uses polygraphs all the time. The CIA uses polygraphs all the time. The DHS uses polygraphs all the time. And it's a pass-fail thing for law enforcement officers. If you become a police officer, this is my friend, my very close family member, took a polygraph, failed it, got his job offer pulled from the sheriff's department. You fail a polygraph, you're out. It's just black and white when it comes to government employment. Why is she still employed?
And it's my understanding in those cases, you can actually fail them if you're truthful too.
That's why they're not admissible in court, but they are very reliable. Okay. They're not unreliable. So this got posted on the public docket, and it included who she was. Now, this has all been publicly reported, but now we know the details. It went on to say one of the things they wanted is they've now issued a subpoena for the video. You know, Carrie's been exonerated because they have a video of her playing with her dogs, right, in her house. Turns out it's not quite the case. There's a video of her dogs playing with what might be her voice in the background. So she's not even on video. There's just a woman's voice on the video, may or may not be her. Like super fakeable. Okay. So they've subpoenaed that video, and that is different than what the bootlickers of the FBI reported. Oh, they have a video of her on video playing with her dogs.
Course.
You do not have a video of her playing with her dogs. So they want that information. She also, as she was being surveilled, she was also went to a podiatrist, which is a guy who specializes in gait analysis. So she was being investigated for the gait analysis. They got their woman. They got their woman. They got her pretty dead to rights here. But they still went after Brian Cole Jr.
Yeah.
Okay. So this thing is kind of blown up. Now, the government got all big mad yesterday when this went on the public docket, and they put in an order, government's motion for order to show cause why defense counsel should not be held in contempt for violating a protective order. So they're saying that they violate a protective order by putting this on the public docket. At the start of the first hearing in the criminal case, the court admonished the parties as follows. This case, with some public attention attached to it, I prefer to say this at the outset to avoid any issue, is not made in response to any particular thing that's happened. But let's be clear that this is a court of law. It is not a press room. I have very little patience for antics from counsel or otherwise. So, you know, my interest is first and foremost going to ensure a fair process that will be for the government, which it is entitled to put its case on, and will certainly be for Mr. Cole as well. Those rights will be respected. So that's a quote from the judge in the first hearing. And then in this motion, they say, in the service of that sentiment, the government sought a protective order at the beginning of this case, all the discovery, consented to by the defense and entered by the magistrate court on December 11th, 2025, prohibiting the public dissemination of any discovery materials designated as sensitive or other information contained therein, including uniquely identifying information and information that may jeopardize witness security, and requiring a prior agreement by the government or permission of the court before such material could be included in a public filing. Today, defense counsel filed on the public docket a motion for early return of subpoenas that violated in egregious fashion both the letter of the protective order and the spirit of the court's admonition. We're mad. You exposed us. The facts and circumstances set forth indicate strongly that it is difficult to fathom a clear, more seemingly intentional violation of a protective order. Upon seeing the motion, government counsel immediately called defense counsel and requested that the filing be removed from the public docket and resubmitted under seal, as explicitly required by the terms of the protective order. Defense counsel stated that they believe their motion complied with the protective order and refused to take steps to remove the filing from the public docket. Defense counsel repeatedly asked government counsel what the next steps would be if the defense did agree to remove the filing from the public docket, extending the phone conversation long enough that government counsel eventually told the defense that government counsel would themselves contact the clerk of court to request the filing be taken down. Unbeknownst to government counsel, the damage was already being done. Media figures who have for months been claiming that the defendant is a patsy for the pipe bomber, the individual publicly identified by defense counsel in their pleading, had already obtained and posted the filing and exhibits in full on social media. Good. 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 Because you're in the middle of a cover-up operation. And part of your cover-up operation is to keep that information quiet. The fact that she failed a polygraph test and was being investigated and surveilled. And then you have the most corrupt J6 prosecutor who also prosecuted the Proud Boys, also prosecuted General Flynn. She's literally had both of her last major cases ended in a presidential pardon because of weaponization of government issues. And she's prosecuting this case.
She's the weapon.
She's the weapon. She's the weapon. This is where we're at. Okay. I don't care if those defense attorneys get held in contempt. Thank you. Thank you. For those of us that did time for this nonsense, if you got to do a sanction or a month in jail or what, I don't care. Thank you. Thank you. You're on the side of truth here. She should be investigated. She should be, that fact that she failed a polygraph test, she should be under oath and perjury to say that that's not her walking. The podiatrist should come in and say, yeah, that's her gait. Can't deny it. Okay. She was the first one on January 6th to fire off non-lethal munitions at the crowd indiscriminately. She was the first one. Guy Reffitt, who was the first J6er who went to trial, a jury trial, she testified at his case because she shot him. And she probably perjured herself. Okay. Super, super big deal. Now, there was reporting yesterday that Pam Bondi, that Trump is floating the idea of possibly getting rid of Pam Bondi. She muffed the Epstein investigation. Remember what happened? Right at the onset of Trump's administration, she brings in a bunch of social media influencers and hands them a binder, says Epstein release, phase 1. And it was all the publicly available information that was already on the internet forever. And, you had all these social media influencers walking out of the White House holding up these binders like it was some big revelation. And it wasn't. It's a huge bluff. She comes out and says, I've got the list sitting on my desk. Oh, there's nobody on the list. Oh, there's more information up in the Southern District of New York. Oh, we don't know who all these, there's no other victims.
Right.
The whole thing has been a big muff, and it was very bad for the political capital of Donald Trump. Fortunately, it's mostly settled down now. She's a lot of these fraud investigations have been going on. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes with the election integrity stuff. But clearly you had an FBI agent under your control that bunked a warrant that created a poison pill situation. You're clearly sitting on top of this January 6th literal political pipe bomb, right? That is exploding right now in your face. That was a bombshell revelation yesterday that she was under investigation, that she failed a lie detector test. That's a problem. That's a problem. You've got Brian Cole Jr. on vehicle in his car miles away from the pipe bomb on traffic camera at the time the pipe bomb's being released. You have Brian Cole Jr. doesn't match the gait analysis. He's autistic, which autistic people have a really high rate of false confessions. Oh, by the way, that false confession was issued to Jocelyn Benson or Jocelyn Ballantyne.
Sure.
Okay. The whole thing stinks to high heaven. And you've got Dan Bongino out there who's waging a private war against Thomas Massie. And I believe that Jocelyn Ballantyne was trying to sabotage Dan Bongino and affect his credibility. And Dan Bongino, from what I can tell, I listened to his podcast yesterday, railing on Massie, is too prideful to admit it. He's a quintessential team player. Guys, we could wrap up the whole J6 narrative if we just let this guy go to jail. He's an innocent man. He's an innocent man, Dan. Right? I don't always like some of the black pillars and the panicans that will hyper focus on one issue and be like, this ruins everything. Listen, if the FBI did its job like it's supposed to do, the murder rate would be low. Thank you for encouraging some of those agents to do their job. But don't sell me a load of bull crap that you've cleaned out the DOJ, Todd Blanche, with all the bad actors in the FBI, when you have a 35-year veteran inappropriately filling out a warrant. How many other warrants has he inappropriately filled out, right? You've got You've got Jocelyn Ballantyne still working at the DOJ and leading one of the top prosecutions, which, by the way, is in a string of weaponization of government cases that she's been at the front of that resulted in presidential pardons. Why is she on a case that even touches that? Go send her to do child pornography cases in North Dakota. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, why is she still in D.C.? Why is she working there? You've got Jeanine Pirro, who, despite being a storied prosecutor and a storied judge and all that, has a track record of being totally okay throwing innocent men in jail. Okay? It's a problem. Now, it floated around, Pam Bondi, that Trump was actually floating the idea of getting rid of Pam Bondi, and CNN said that's not the case.
The president is considering a cabinet shakeup. What are you learning on this front?
Yeah, this is some reporting that we're doing tonight with my colleagues Elena Treen and Kristen Holmes. We have confirmed from multiple sources, John, that the president has been talking privately recently about replacing the Attorney General Pam Bondi, firing her from her role running the Justice Department, and actually instead putting the EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin in that position. Now, it's not confirmed yet that he is going to oust her. We have not gotten reporting that he's made a final decision on this. You can see this is her today as she was getting in the motorcade, actually, with the president to go with him to the Supreme Court to listen to those hearings on birthright citizenship. But the president's attitude on her, John, for the last several months really has been quite sour. And a lot of it has to do with the backlash over the handling of the Epstein investigation. The president doesn't like the headlines they're getting. They don't like the negative response that they're getting, even from Republicans, from their base, and folks on Capitol Hill. And also, John, ahead of this 2-week deadline where Pam Bondi is supposed to go and testify on Capitol Hill because they subpoenaed her, including Republicans on that committee, the House Oversight Committee. And so the White House has been eyeing that deadline. It's April 14th, I believe, that she's set to go and testify as a date. And this is something the president had been talking about back in January. It appeared to subside a bit, John, and then now has kind of resurrected itself, where this is a conversation we started hearing from sources was really heating up in the West Wing on Monday. But one thing that, I've talked to people, it's not even clear to them if this is actually going to happen. The president talks a lot about this. It's not clear if he'll follow through on it. And he did issue a statement tonight calling Pam Bondi a wonderful person and saying that she's doing a good job. And so we'll see if that shakes out here. He also similarly stood by Kristi Noem until he didn't, John. And so we'll have to wait and see what the president himself ultimately decides when it comes to Pam Bondi running the Justice Department.
So that'll be really interesting. That'll be really interesting, right? Because his MO is support him, and okay, move on. She could get a soft landing spot somewhere else. She could, send Pam Bondi to the EPA. But basically Pam Bondi's still living in Florida. What it looks like is she's remote. She does a lot of the media hits, oversees the big stuff. But Todd Blanche is running the day-to-day. He's the real machine behind it, and he's a Democrat. And he's not convinced that Trump lost 2020, and he's not going to go after anybody on the Epstein list and blah, blah, blah. It kind of just is like, man, replace Todd Blanche. Maybe then Pam Bondi could be unleashed. Or maybe, move Lee Zeldin in there. He was a real bulldog over at EPA. Get somebody that's willing to come in and break some eggs. And actually, listen, if we have to have a reduction in staff and fire all the weaponized government, if it is 5,000 FBI agents, do it. I'm sure there's a lot of sheriff's deputies that would like to promote up. You know what I mean? And do it. Do it. What would be the harm in it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they hired 86,000 IRS agents overnight.
Oh, they all got detailed to DHS. But yeah, they didn't actually do it overnight. That was a 10-year phase in. But yes, sure. Right. The idea is listen, you're not going to have a hard time finding people unless you keep your circle small. I'm sure there's a lot of people out about. There's a lot of cops that would like to move up. There's a lot of guys that in their local department, there's not an opening for detective. They might want to move and become a special agent and really go after bad guys. You know what I mean? This is so frustrating for me as a January 6er who's just, I really love the pardon. Obviously, you guys are the beneficiaries of it here listening to the show, but it would be really nice to see some actual accountability. And when the whole Brian Cole pipe bomb incident came out and we found out Jocelyn Ballantyne was the prosecutor, it was just like dagger to the heart, man. It's the team player syndrome. Now that Bongino and Patel are running the FBI, well, the FBI, we can't lose credibility at the FBI, and there was a big scandal right early on. Steve Jensen, one of the other prosecutors or FBI agents, I can't remember, that was deeply involved in all the shenanigans with J6, got promoted to be like Dan Bongino's assistant. And kind of the word we got, well, he knows where the bodies are buried. Yeah. And he knows who not to get rid of. So they make sure to fill out those warrants wrong. And he knows who not to get rid of. Oh, Jocelyn Ballantyne, she's a great prosecutor. Patrick Byrne, talking to Emerald Robinson, was saying that one of the challenges Trump has is he's treating the DOJ like a business executive treats advertising firms. He's bringing in these teams of lawyers that are commercial law and these different, like Lindsey Halligan, commercial lawyer, never a prosecutor, right? And he's like, okay, pitch it to me. Who can get rid of weaponization? Who can prosecute these guys? And he's kind of like bringing in 4 groups of prosecutors and see what they can do, but none of them are actually prosecutors. That was one thing that Patrick Byrne was just absolutely adamant. Donald Trump is screwing the pooch on this because he's not appointing prosecutors. You need one of those guys in there, and you're not getting any of them. You're getting a bunch of friends of friends of friends of real estate developers. So not very good. Carlite says, get rid of Pam Blondie. Yeah, interesting. Allegedly, after this war in Iran is over, they're going to really hit hard the fraud, the Medicaid, social services fraud, and as well as election fraud. And James O'Keefe, as many of you guys know, has been releasing a video a day of blatant on its face election fraud on the streets of California. People being told what name to sign for petitions and register to vote and all this kind of stuff. And it's elicited some response. He's gotten calls, but he's like, I'm just going to keep doing this every day until someone's freaking arrested finally. Well, James O'Keefe had an update. A couple things. He was live on air during a broadcast, and he got served with a cease and desist order with a court date the next morning. He was in California, court date the next morning in Florida for a cease and desist for his former partner at James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, who threatened to kill him, actually put up like a book with his picture on it and shot it. Boy. And he put that post out there publicly. Well, now James O'Keefe is being held, this restraining order, and they want to take away his guns. And it's like, it's so corrupt. It's crazy. It's the guy that's wanting the restraining order that threatened to kill James O'Keefe, right? And actually said it on video and said he was turning James O'Keefe into the SDNY, and said that, and actually has a video of him shooting a book with James O'Keefe's picture on it, or a picture of James O'Keefe with a gun. But yet James O'Keefe is the one who needs the restraining order. Good gravy. See, and that's where the conservatives were just like, well, we'll just expose it and move on. James O'Keefe should have went and got the restraining order. He should have struck first, but instead he's playing defense. But either way, he said yesterday, for the first time ever, the DOJ finally started making some phone calls.
Developing, there has been movement from the Department of Justice on the California cash for ballot scheme that we exposed on tape. It appears as though
they're literally paying cash to these guys to sign stuff.
The Department of Justice is taking action. The Department of Justice has reached out to me and members of my team, and we are cooperating on the record. I'm really inspired and motivated by this. It appears, based upon this development, we may finally see some arrests and accountability in this clear-cut case. And again, it appears the reason why is because the actual crime, the transactions, are all recorded on tape. This is a developing story. We'll keep you updated, and we'll keep the pressure on the state authorities. That's the city of Los Angeles and the state of California Secretary of State's office, in addition to the FBI and the DOJ. Stay tuned.
Great. So the other big event that happened yesterday was the Supreme Court held oral arguments over the birthright citizenship case. So I listened to the entire hearing. It's hard to know what way they're going to go. It could be a 6-4 decision to keep birthright citizenship. It could be a 5-4 decision. No, I got 6-4. It could be 5-4 to keep it. It could be 5-4 against. There's clearly 4 justices who see birthright citizenship as a problem, right? Not just in our modern era, but also the text of the jurisdiction thereof and the 14th Amendment. Like it's Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh are pretty solid, probably going to vote to overturn this. Obviously, you've got the 4 liberal justices that are, they're never going to vote for anything that's in America's interest.
And who's left?
So it all comes down to Amy Coney Barrett.
Of course.
And Amy Coney Barrett is challenging. If you remember, she has adopted children from Haiti. Yep. And so she has really, more than any other justice, she just really wants to be accepted and not have bad press. And, I remember Thomas Barnes said she'll be the worst Supreme Court justice in history. And that's saying a lot. Now, this was pre Ketanji Brown Jackson, but nonetheless, this is why. It's because she's inconsistent in this manner. She's wicked smart, clearly, but what she reminds me a little bit of is a little girl who just wants approval. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what she reminds me of. She's wicked smart, but she can't take the heat. She can't take the threats to her family. She can't take the bad press, the bad headlines. She just really wants to be known as smart, intelligent, et cetera, et cetera. Being brave and courageous is not on her bucket list. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of comes down to her. And there's people that, some people say it could go one way. Some people say it could go the other. But one of the most ridiculous things that was said yesterday was Ketanji Brown Jackson. Her logic of this. So they were kind of debating a couple terms. What does it mean to be domiciled? Because if you're domiciled here, then you're under the jurisdiction thereof. Does jurisdiction just mean if you commit a crime, you could be prosecuted? And then what does allegiance mean, right? You're supposed to owe allegiance to the United States. Well, what does that mean? Does allegiance mean that you love it and you're loyal to it? Or does it mean that you're subject to it and something like that, right? It was kind of this weird debate. Because one of the questions, one of the conservative judges said, well, if you have an Iranian have Iranian parents and they're born here, because he has Iranian parents, they have Iranian citizenship, and that child will be considered an Iranian citizen and is required to serve in the military. So now you have a U.S. citizen that is required to serve in one of our fiercest enemies' militaries. Can they really owe allegiance to the United States in that situation? Does that make sense? So it was like kind of debating this issue. But Ketanji Brown Jackson, she makes this analogy, and when we're done laughing at the end of this, we'll talk a little bit about it.
I was thinking about this, and I think there are various sources that say this, that you obviously have permanent allegiance based on being born in whatever country you're from. That's what everybody recognizes. But you also have local allegiance when you are on the soil of this other sovereign. And I was thinking, I, a U.S. citizen, am visiting Japan. And what it means is that, if I steal someone's wallet in Japan, the Japanese authorities can arrest me and prosecute me. It's allegiance, meaning can they control you as a matter of law? I can also rely on them if my wallet is stolen to, under Japanese law, go and prosecute the person who has stolen it. So there's this relationship based on, even though I'm a temporary traveler, I'm just on vacation in Japan, I'm still locally owing allegiance in that sense.
Okay. So by her logic, if you go steal a wallet in Japan, you become a samurai. So you can pledge your allegiance by the commission of a crime because they can control you. So that's allegiance. I know. She's retarded, bro. She's totally retarded.
Thank you for saying that, because the whole time I'm like, what? And then and at the same time I'm like, I remember being young once and thinking I could never be as smart as some of these people. I could never be an attorney because I could never be that smart. And then you realize someday when you get older, oh, they're not smart.
You know how there's compliments people pay you, and then sometimes they say things in a very derogatory way, and it's the same thing. Does that make sense?
Like, bless her heart.
Well, not so much that, but I get complimented sometimes for being smart. It's not uncommon for someone. You're really smart. But I also have that thrown in my face. Hey, you smart ass. You think you're smarter than everybody, right? It goes both ways. It's like, I can't help who I am, but at a certain point, I have to stop caring about what you think. You know what I mean? I'm not going to play dumb just because you think being smart is a bad thing today, because I'm on to you. So my little journey in my career path through life, became a mortgage broker, thought, oh, this is great. All this money is great commissions. And then I realized everybody's committed crimes and everybody's playing a game that just like once you see the wizard behind the curtain, you're like, oh, screw you. I'm smarter than you, and I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Like 6 months in, you're like, wait a minute, these are not the rules you guys told me we were playing by.
Yeah, exactly. No, you just fill out the form this way, and oh yeah, check that box. Always got to check that box. But what if it's the answer is no? Check yes, it'll get disproved otherwise.
Right.
Okay.
And then you find out how come Jimmy over in the corner is killing it.
Jimmy that doesn't know he's committing federal crimes.
Yeah.
He's the patsy. He's the Brian Cole Jr. of Academy Mortgage. Yeah. So it was the lead broker that knew that they were crimes, training his little patsy to go commit them. So then, I get into real estate and I find out that real estate's predominantly a bunch of middle-aged women that just their kids finally moved out of the house. It's like, oh, you guys aren't business owners. You guys like work really hard for one sale a month. I became a real estate agent. I was doing like 9 houses a month and they're all coming around me like, how do you do this? I'm like, I do what they tell us to do every day. And I don't spend all my time at the hairdresser. Pony Boy, I wonder which flavor of crayon is her favorite. That's pretty funny. So anyways, that's been my trajectory, as you kind of see behind the scenes. And then when I became a defendant and I started to see how lawyers actually work, I was like, you guys are retarded. Like, I should have gone to law school. Like, we hold these people up on a pedestal and they're freaking retarded.
Yeah. And now you know why a bunch of attorneys work at McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, anyway, so the birthright citizenship is one of the things Justice Roberts said was John Sauer was talking about. When the 14th Amendment was written, it took a big effort to get to the United States, and you clearly could establish domicile. That was that way. But now we're in a world where 8 billion people are one plane ride away from the United States. So if just being on our soil and having a kid is enough to qualify it, you literally have 8 billion people that could come and have a kid. They could all choose to jump on a plane and be here.
We could just say the Earth is our domicile.
Yeah. So then, General Sauer, Solicitor General Sauer says, well, we live in a new world. And Chief Justice Roberts replies, well, it's a new world, but it's the same Constitution. Yeah, and that's why you guys are supposed to adapt some of this nonsense. You remember that whole gay marriage thing? Remember that? How, hey, it's a new world, but it's the same Constitution. Oh, did the Constitution provide for gay marriage?
Maybe we should just keep the rules the way they were.
Yeah. Thank you, Justice John Roberts. Again, you're the Oliver North of the Supreme Court. Okay. I sold them missiles, but then they shouldn't have any. Right. I totally broke the Constitution and created this whole thing of gay marriage, but it's a new world, and now it's like new world, same Constitution. Oh my goodness. By the way, Justice John Roberts also has adopted kids from a foreign country.
Oh boy.
So here's the birthright tourism scandal.
Do you think China is sending CCP, so communist sympathizers, to the United States to have children to make them citizens and really kind of change the ideology of our country? Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to take my word for it, Kayla. You can take China's. They have over 1,000 companies in China that advertise this service to these Chinese elites. And China's own estimates, by the way, suggest that up to 100,000 people per year travel from China and that are then born in this country. And over the last 13 years, given the loopholes that the Obama administration created, that's potentially up to 1 million people who can start voting in this country by 2030 or earlier. Peter Schweitzer has called it a Manchurian generation, and it's a very real threat. Look, Donald Trump was elected because of the travesty that Joe Biden created, allowing so many people to enter this country illegally. They've taken good steps to secure the border, and that's necessary but not sufficient. And the citizenship loophole that the Obama administration created is a very important next step to restoring American sovereignty. Donald Trump understands that, and that's what his executive order last year was meant to address.
Wait, so 1 million by 2030 could be new voters. I mean, elections are decided by a few thousand votes in some cases. This could technically swing an election.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think we all know, based on all the data, which party China tends to favor. I promise you, it's not the Trump administration. It's not conservatives who have finally taken the threat that China poses to us head on in an honest way. It might be the party represented by
hot take.
Barack Obama.
It might be the party represented by communists. So this touches close to home, right? We've got lots of listeners down in California. This was NBCLA, and they had a one of these one of these surrogate families down there.
Federal agents swooping in this morning to raid what they are calling maternity tourism rings. The ring helps pregnant women, most of them in this area from China, illegally travel to the U.S. to give birth to American babies. NBC4's Hetty
Hold on. Chinese illegally traveling to America to give birth to American babies? But are they subject to the jurisdiction thereof? Well, yeah, according to Ketanji Brown Braxton, they committed a crime, so they are.
Didn't they just fly like commercial? How is it illegal? Or is it because of the intention?
That's it right there. It's the intention. I've got this old video, and I couldn't find it, but it was women getting off a bus. It was women getting off a bus in California going into a birthing center. And they were getting off a bus, Ron. Like, when your wife was 9 months and 3 days pregnant and was like waiting for labor, did you take a public bus? No, you didn't. Did you call?
No, I told my wife, go take the bus. I'll meet you there.
Or did you call a charter bus? Or did you say, go gather up with your other pregnant friends simultaneously and head into a birthing center? No. So these women are getting off this bus to this birthing center. They're all 9 months pregnant. I mean,
plumped out.
Okay. And there's 30 of them. Coming off this bus on the same day to go into this birthing center, deliver kids. And the thing is that bus came by every day with a new batch of pregnant women. So they're being held somewhere pregnant and then being taken to, who's in labor today? Get on the bus.
Maybe it's the shuttle bus from the airport.
So how they get here, they get smuggled in a commercial flight, a vacation visa, right? They come here illegally and then they stick around to have the kids.
Chang has more from Orange County.
Just after sunrise, they are ready to roll. Our cameras are there as dozens of federal investigators storm into the Carlisle apartments in Irvine.
You come here in the evening, you see all the pregnant women walking around.
Investigators say this building and at least 20 other locations they raided in LA, Orange, and San Bernardino counties double as maternity hotels.
People who come from China to the United States for the sole purpose.
Federal agents swooping in this morning to raid what they are
purpose of
calling
having a baby. And then maybe they raise them here. Maybe they take them back. They're lost in the shuffle because they're just American kids. Chinese women coming here illegally from China to have American babies. They're not fucking American. Okay?
But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, Taylor. It's okay, Taylor, because they'll mail your ballot anywhere.
Yeah. When the postal service is like, where's this ballot going? Beijing.
Can you spell that?
Oh, man. There was a time where even some of the most liberal Democrats understood this. Here's a flashback to Dianne Feinstein, 1993.
Should you have a system where people can come to this country, even if they're well-to-do, get on Medicaid and give birth to a baby and then go back? The answer is no. And we know that Medicaid laws are being used and abused to do just this in the state of California. I'd like to see that stopped. About 13% of the California prison population, costing close to $300 million a year, are illegal aliens. I've had judges in Los Angeles and Orange County tell me 1/2 of their criminal dockets are illegal aliens. Presently, a convicted illegal alien has the option of serving their sentence in California or being returned to their country of origin. I think that option ought to be removed.
Yeah, it's called a treaty option.
Doesn't it just make your blood boil that you can watch these clips and you realize that for 30 years that these same politicians have known what the problems are the entire time?
Yeah, and there's been times where Democrats had the House, the Senate, and the White House, and Dianne Feinstein was there. What'd you do about it?
Exactly.
What'd you do about it? I just complained. I campaigned on it. Oh my goodness. It's the hypocrisy. It goes both directions. If Dianne Feinstein was alive today, she'd be like, we love our immigrant populations. We love our hotel prison system, right? I mean, power. These people just want power. They don't want solutions because then what would they run on, Ron? Not a lot of politicians are brave enough to run on missions to Mars and the moon. Not a lot of politicians are brave enough to run on the golden age and actually do something. Everybody wants a problem to fix. Okay. So Justice Alito, let's listen to his his little bit here. Justice Alito explained what I had said earlier about how you could have a foreign power, send someone here, have a kid. Now they're anchored. Now you can't get warrants and all the different things you would need to do. And they don't really have allegiance here.
Not subject to any foreign power is pretty straightforward. So let me give you these examples. A boy is born here to an Iranian father who has entered the country illegally. That boy is automatically an Iranian national at birth, and he has a duty to provide military service to the Iranian government. Is he not subject to any foreign power?
Not within the meaning of the 1866 Act, Justice Alito. And that's clear from Wong Kim Ark, and it's clear from the debates. What the framers meant by the phrase not subject to any foreign power was referring to the ambassador exception. If it meant what the government...
Cecilia Wing is the ACLU attorney that's doing this. I wonder what her parentage is.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I'm guessing that she knows everything the founders meant.
Because there were a lot of wings back then that were participating.
Intends basically not a subject of any foreign power, that another country considers you a jus sanguinis citizen, then lawful permanent residents, all foreign nationals.
Well, ordinary public meaning of that would certainly encompass that boy, would it not?
Justice Alito, if you think that the language of the 1866 Act was ambiguous, as Wong Kim Ark says, the shift to the language of the 14th Amendment, which is the operative text, certainly clears up any ambiguity.
What I said about a boy born to an Iranian father is true of children born here to parents who are nationals of other countries. If I'm correct, it's true to a child who's born here to Russian parents. It's true to a child who's born here to Mexican parents. They're automatically citizens or nationals of those countries and have a duty of military service. It sure seems like that makes them subject to a foreign power.
But again, Justice Alito, that would have meant that the children of Irish, Italian, and other immigrants, which Wong Kim Ark refers to and the debate the framers refer to, would not have been citizens either. Because if the only test is whether that US-born child is considered a citizen by another country under their jus sanguinis laws, then no foreign nationals' children would be.
Well, in all of those cases, the parents could be naturalized, and then the children would be derivatively naturalized when the parents were naturalized.
So basically, if you have a path to citizenship, you can take it and the family will become naturalized, right? But just because you're here illegally, dude, what a mess. If they do the right thing, they'll clean it up. We got breaking news, Ron.
Oh.
Breaking news.
What's happening?
It's a big deal. And I don't know how to feel about it.
Uh-oh.
Joe Biden died.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I don't know how to feel about it.
I thought
should we
that
dance
was
on
like
his
a
grave,
year
or should
ago.
we be team players and be like, oh, it's so sad that a former president died. Guy was an asshole. Put me in prison. He used the auto pen to change your life. He opened the border. Untold amounts of murder, rape, crime, economic devastation happened under his watch. And he was an absentee president at best. So how should we feel about this?
God bless the big guy.
Hey, Hunter Biden can finally keep his 10%, keep his 50% or whatever. Oh man, there's a saying, something about Q posted this way back in the day, basically saying you can't criticize the dead or whatever. Like,
whatever.
So I'm curious. I don't know if we'll cover it tomorrow. I'm sure Donald Trump will make some statement. Probably not going to be good. I mean,
somebody's going to say something stupid. It'll be great.
Thank goodness. Yeah. So apparently that stage 4 cancer finally caught up. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Pony Boy, rest in piss. Carlitos, we will miss the gaffes and the falling off of bikes and the different ice cream flavors. And oh yeah, somebody posted yesterday the speech that Biden will most be remembered for was the corn pop speech.
What I'm wondering right now, this is maybe not something I should say. Is
You got to remember, Joe Biden also authored the 1994 crime bill. It was his one legislative achievement. and it devastated the black communities. He was talking about his kids not wanting his kids to grow up in a racial jungle and all that kind of stuff. Like, and the disparity between crack cocaine and cocaine, right? It just.
Well, what I'm wondering is how is he going to do it during the next debate?
Probably better. You know, he'll have his faculties back. Wow. So Joe Biden died. Okay, back to the birthright information here. So this is Mike Davis on with War Room, and he's pretty dour on this. He thinks that they're going to keep the birthright citizenship scheme. And so, yeah, that's his opinion. But here's his take.
Well, I hope that all of these justices go through the briefs. They go through the plain text of the 14th Amendment and subsequent legislation, and they look at the original public meaning. And I think if they do that, if they actually go through that exercise of textualism and originalism, which is how they sold themselves to get the job, I think that the answer is very clear here. The 14th Amendments, we had the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, the post-Civil War constitutional amendments. The 13th Amendment outlawed slavery. The 14th Amendment provide equal protection and due process to the freed slaves. The 15th Amendment provide voting rights to the freed male slaves. That was extended to black women with the 19th Amendment, all women, but including the black women with the 19th Amendment. As part of the 14th Amendment, we had the Dred Scott decision after the Civil War. And it was an abomination of a Supreme Court decision that said that the freed slaves do not get American citizenship. And so part of the 14th Amendment included the birthright citizenship provision that's all persons born in the United States. Number one, you have to be born here. And number two, you have to be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. You have to have allegiance, full allegiance to the United States. And so, as I was saying, American Indians did not have birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment. Congress had to provide it to them by statute. So you have to ask this dispositive question to these textualists and originalists on the Supreme Court. If American Indians did not have birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment, how the hell would illegal aliens? And then you have to ask this further question. Do you think we fought a civil war to give birthright citizenship to 1.5 million Chinese birth tourists? Do we think that we should have over 1 million Chinese nationals who have American citizenship and live in China and mail in their ballots from China into American elections and take Social Security and other welfare benefits back in Beijing? I don't think that's what the proponents of the 14th Amendment were trying to accomplish, and I don't think that's what the public understood what the 14th Amendment was trying to accomplish. So I think that these Supreme Court justices should think long and hard about this decision, because if they actually give birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment to 1.5 Chinese nationals living in Beijing, they are going to destroy, and I mean destroy, the legitimacy of the Supreme Court.
And what happens when the legitimacy of the Supreme Court is destroyed? We are in a massive constitutional crisis, big time. So
I kind of wish Mike Davis was the one talking to Alito.
Yeah. So yeah. So we'll see. All right, guys, it's about time to jump over into private. We are going to be talking about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. We are on the verge of the Clarity Act being presented, so we're going to be talking about that. And we're going to be talking about Washington State and the cost of housing, the cost of living. Do you know Bremerton is one of the most expensive places to live in the whole country? Did you know that?
You know what's funny about that?
I feel it.
You know what's funny about that is when I was, this was probably 40 years ago, 30 to 40 years ago, a list came out in America of the top 5 cities to live in. And number 1 was Bremerton. And I saw that and I was like, oh, what? No. Have you been to Bremerton?
Yeah. When they say Bremerton, it's the whole county, basically.
Sure.
But, you know, it's funny because Boise would show up on that list, and the cost of living in Boise is also now top. It's one of the top places because,
right,
you hit that list and people are going to come. And
it made me think about those lists differently, because if you live in the town that gets on that list, you know all the dirty secrets. Yeah. And so after I got that premonition, like, boom, like Bremerton's number 1, I was like, ugh. Well, who's number two?
I wonder how much the Chamber of Commerce paid for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're going to jump over into private. We're going to be talking a little bit about cryptocurrency. So I got to put on my Make Crypto Great Again hat here. Okay. At 1776 Live, we focus a lot about remedies and solutions to some of the problems that we talk about every day on this show. And one of the big things is you have to learn how to build wealth, right? It's one thing to have law and order, but if you're struggling to get by month to month, put food on your table, you've got to do something differently. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always have what you have right now, right? So if you really want to do something different, you can't look to Donald Trump to fix the economy. If you're not in the oil business, maybe it's not booming. If you're not in the cold fusion business, it might not be booming, right? If you're just in the, hey, I go to the retail store and go shopping, or, you know, I work at a counter somewhere, yeah, your wages are going to be stagnated and slow to come up. So you've got to do something different. What's great about America is you can have a side hustle. You can make private investments. And while Donald Trump and the administration are opening things up like 401ks to different investments and stuff like that, at the end of the day, you have to take control of your financial situation. And if you can't go get a different job that's going to significantly raise it, then you've got to be able to do something different and invest what little you do have. So crypto is an opportunity for that, Bitcoin specifically. And the structure of how that works is changing dramatically. So if you're not a premium subscriber on Rumble and can't join us in private, we'll miss you and you're missing out big time. Don't forget to visit us at 1776live.us if you want to get down into the nitty and gritty of this stuff. This show is just kind of news commentary, news overview, kind of setting the premise and the stage for things, the perspective. But over at 1776 Live, we get into the details on how to actually get remedy. Okay.
The nuts and bolts.
Yep, the nuts and bolts. All right, so we will talk to you guys again tomorrow. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. And those